confidence interval, proportion or mean. We're going to recap briefly here, kind of put it all together in one chart. Our objective, determine the appropriate confidence interval to construct. Which method do we use to construct a confidence interval? All right, well, it depends on a few things. Okay, what type of variable are we talking about? If we're talking about a qualitative variable, it generally will be agree, disagree, yes, no responses. We're talking with two possible outcomes. Okay, we're talking about a qualitative variable. The parameter we're estimating is the proportion, the population proportion. The requirements are as follows, and mine's a little off here. That's okay. I hope yours is better. The data needs to come from a simple random sample or the result of a randomized experiment. Of course, okay? We need to have n times p hat times 1 minus p hat greater than or equal to 10, and that's the primary kicker right there. And the secondary requirement is the sample size has to be less than or equal to 5% of the population size in order to find enough good samples without repeating. Okay, in StatCrunch, we're using the stat dropdown. We're going to proportion stats. And it's pulling its data, I believe, from the Z table. Okay, if our variable is a quantitative variable, it is made up of numbers for which we can take an average. We're estimating the mean. We're estimating the average, which as a population parameter is the variable mu. Okay, like the requirements, like the qualitative requirement, the quantitative requirement is the same. The data needs to come from a simple random sample or the result of a randomized experiment. Things have to be random in order to be applicable in statistics. And then these are our requirements for, we did this for building a confidence interval. The data come from a population that is normally distributed with no outliers. Okay, so we either told it's normally distributed or we apply the QQ plot and the box plot, or the sample size is large, greater than or equal to 30. And then finally, our sample size must be smaller than or equal to 5% of the entire population. And again, that's almost always met. Very rarely are we going to be dealing with a population that's that small. We're talking about all the people in the US or all the children that are in 5th grade, et cetera, et cetera. When it comes to StatCrunch, we're using the T-Stats functionality under Stat. T-Stats because it's drawing from the T-table to do the math for us. So this is a nice chart to have, kind of pull it all together to work with constructing the appropriate confidence interval.